Hello, I'm Dan Dotson from Storage Wars, and we're on Tuesday nights on A&E at 9 o'clock, 8 o'clock Central. And I've got some questions here that were given to me, and this is intended for Monday Night Carlo. Carl, thank you very much for this interview and these questions. These are great, and I'll just start going through them. First question is, how did you guys start doing what you're doing originally, and how did I learn to speak so fast? And that's, practice makes perfect, or almost perfect, with a lot of things. And I've been practicing auctioneer for 40 years. My grandfather, Sam Fancher, was an auctioneer in Arkansas. And when I was a young boy, I used to go to Arkansas every summer and stay with him and help him with farm auctions and work the cattle auctions in the back, moving the cattle around. And in 1974, I was 11 years old, and I said, Grandpa, I want to be like you, and I want to do this. And 3 weeks later, I was selling, and I saw my name in print. I heard my name on the radio along with my auctioneer grandfather, and that just always impressed me, and I always just really liked that attention. So I started practicing, and 40 years later, here I am. The numbers kind of become automatic. After an auctioneer kind of becomes seasoned, then the numbers, we don't really think about those as much as body language, how much somebody might have or might not have in their pocket, what item a particular buyer might want, which buyers we might be able to pit against other buyers to cause a little emotional drama. How the show started was back in 07 and 08, Laura and I were putting up YouTube videos, and we just really wanted to show our clients, hey, we're better than our competitors. Look at us here on YouTube. We used it as a media ploy, and Laura, more than me, wanted to be on TV, and she had been on a lot of game shows, and we were on a couple game shows together, and so we just started putting these auction videos one day a week, and we'd go into the unit, at the door, just kind of like the show, and we would show the competitive auction, and then, Laura thought a couple times, maybe I should just take the camera after the folks have paid the lady, and I should go video, tape what comes out of a box. And anyway, we had 3 news agencies that contacted us in 2009, ABC and NBC and KCET, and they wanted to feature our company for a thrift economy story. And since we were the only cats on YouTube and the only people they could find, then it was an easy choice to pick us. And we'd already had the cameras in our facilities for a year and a half, and some of our facilities didn't like the attention, so they wouldn't let me film at all, and other ones would let me film but not show their name. And then other operators would let me show their name and put it on my YouTube, and we had a couple thousand followers at The Auction Guy Dan on YouTube, and we've had about 1.6 million views now on the 160 or 70 videos that we put up. Laura one day woke up after we had been in contract with our second production company, and these are 6-month contracts, and we were through the second contract about 4 months or 4.5 months, and Laura, she just prayed out loud, God, please send us a Tom Beers. And 3 weeks later, a guy come up to my auction, and he said, hey man, you ever think about doing a reality show? And I was kind of burnt out on these guys, because a lot of them weren't really super honest with me, I thought, and I kind of just swagged over to the side and pointed at him and said, yeah, you're number 16, baby, what's your name? And he hands me his card, and it was Tom Beers, and I just couldn't believe it, because I told him, I said, my wife prayed to God you'd come here, and here you are, and you're the guru, and you can turn this stuff into gold, and if you're patient, I have 45 days left in my contract. And he said, I'm very patient. I said, well, a lot of the folks in production in this business, they seem to be liars. And he looked at me and cocked his head, and he says, well, I'm not a liar. And he wasn't. That's kind of how it started. And Tom Beers had the idea of Storage Wars, and the concept and the name, and their magic at spinning stories and making things interesting. Who would ever thought storage was sexy? Well, it is. And Laura and I, we inspired that. We inspired Storage Wars, and we had done a little consulting with True TV and Spike TV for the other auction shows that were out there. So we were absolutely the original show, and we're the real deal. And we auction 20,000 units a year, and we've got about 500 accounts that we do a couple of 100 auctions a month, and a lot of people rely on getting their goods from us and other places and making a living. So one of the things with the show, I just it always kind of hurt my feelings because a lot of the buyers, they were kind of looked down at by the industry and by the owners and the operators and the regional managers, and they never saw value in these buyers when I always saw value in the buyers. I mean, they not only were conducting a public service, but they were good people, you know, and they were working hard and they were feeding their families. And I just always thought they kind of got the wrong end of the stick, you know, as far as buyers go. You know, vultures are picking the bones off a carcass, and that's not it at all. I mean, if there weren't good buyers out there to buy the stuff, we wouldn't get good money for it, and it would never get cleaned out, and these big multi-million-dollar facilities would just go bankrupt because nobody would be paying. And there has to be a mechanism in there to take somebody's goods when they haven't paid and legally go through a procedure and commercially reasonable sell it. And so anyway, I hope I answered that one. That was kind of long-winded. Number 3, do you ever see anything in a locker you guys ever fancy about buying ourselves? And you know, back in the late 80s, I used to buy units, and I was auctioning storage in 85, so it was a pretty much of a conflict of interest for an auctioneer to also want to buy goods. So, you know, we got it out of our minds a long time ago that we don't want to buy. We just want to sell. We just want to make our 20%. When people do good, we'd love to hear about it. We rarely do, but there's been so many stories over the years, and there's been so many life-changing units that have been sold. And, you know, the word comes out, and we've had a couple of them on Storage Wars. And matter of fact, this season you're going to see the highest sold unit ever on Storage Wars history, and it's probably the highest unit we've sold in the last 6 or 7 years. And one of the players on the show bought it, and I understand that it is a life-changing unit. I would say that you know, anytime you can buy a unit and you can sell it for enough money to buy a house with, or you know, one of the most expensive sports cars, then that's pretty life-changing to me. Okay, so I rarely want to buy anything. I don't ever see anything that I want, and Laura doesn't let me bring too much used stuff home. I hate to say it, but she likes to buy her stuff where she does, and I'm just happy enough with that. Number 4, fourth question is the hatred between Darrell and Dave for real? Yeah, you know, everybody on the show is how they are, and it's pretty easy not to like Dave, and you know, he doesn't make himself very likable, and Darrell just kind of, whatever is going through his mind usually comes out of his mouth, and that's why he's so funny. And you know, the tension between Jared and Dave was absolutely, you know, off the hook. They hated each other, and Dave's not on the show anymore. He's been gone. You know, season 3 I think was his last time around, and Dave, you know, turned out to be not only miserable to everybody, but I think he just kind of became really miserable to himself. So I think that made him very unhappy. And okay, number 5, is Barry Weiss as nice as he seems on camera? Barry is great, and he is the same off camera as he is on camera, and you know, he's 62 years old. He likes to say he's sexy too, and you know, he's just he's hard to keep up with. I've done a lot of running around with Barry, and you know, we've been to New York and Arizona in the races, and Harley riding, and midget race car driving, and we've done a lot of things that have been fun. And Barry's the same off camera as he's on, and you know, he is not in season 5, and I thought, you know, I got a man crush on Barry like everybody, and I thought, I'm really going to miss Barry. But to be honest with you, I miss him, you know, because I don't get to see him as often as I did. But we didn't miss him. I mean, we've got some of the best buyers, most legitimate buyers, and some of the best units that we've ever had in all 5 seasons this season, and I think that everybody's going to be in for a treat. Now, I'm a Barry fan. You know, Tuesdays, 9 o'clock and 9:30, that's Storage Wars, season 5. But then at 10 o'clock and 10:30, 10 o'clock, 9 o'clock Central, there is going to be Barry's new show called Buried Treasure. And Barry gets to have fun, and he doesn't have to work as hard as he did with the self-storage units. And and it seems to be right up his alley. So I'm hoping him all the best out there, and that's that. And then we have, what is the most interesting locker items you guys have seen? You know, since 1985, I've seen everything. We've seen everything from Alberto Vargas's unit, a couple $1 million worth of stuff, to Sting and Madonna boxes. I sold 5 boxes that came out of Madonna's helpers unit, and I guess this lady was an assistant to Madonna from 86 to 93. Anyway, she had a lot of stuff in there, personal stuff of Madonna, you know, stuff you just can't get. And so I think that stuff brought about $400,000. We've just sold everything. Jack Kevorkian's unit sold, Laura sold it, and there was like $38,500 cash in there. Sold a unit one time full of United States Air Force military helicopter titanium parts, a whole unit full of it. And you know, the government come back and confiscated that, but you know, I sold a dead body one time. A lady had killed her husband, and you know, it's funny, you sell one dead body to somebody and you'll never get to sell them another thing. So we don't like doing that. All right. Number 7, what is the weirdest locker item that you've come across? Well, we have probably already included it in the last question, but you know, it's just been everything. You know, I had a unit one time, and it didn't look like anything. It looked like just paper and a small little tarp in the middle of it. And this thing was only like 5 by 8. It was very small. And as I'm selling it, I'm at like $25, looking for $35, and a guy notices like I had a lettuce size money, and it was just like 1s and 5s, like in a ball, wrapped up with like newspaper. Weird, right? Well, I picked that up and I split it open like I had a lettuce, and I just threw it in the unit. I mean, it was part of the sale, and then it went up to like $300 or $400. Well, then I'm looking, and there's little rolls of dollars and $5. I didn't see any 20s or 100s or 50s, but lots of 1s and 5s. And I just started kicking that stuff in with my foot back into the unit. Well, I ended up getting $1,750 for this unit, and I never found out what was in the unit. But the guy that bought it, he followed me around for at least a month, and you know, I heard $3,000 or $4,000. I asked him, and he said he lost a little money out of his $1,700, but you know, you just never know. You never know what you're going to find in a unit, and if you can imagine it in your imagination, then it can possibly have been, or it is, in a unit. And if something's being stored and it costs money to store it, then if that's not paid, then there's a chance it could come up to auction. And that's why this is such a fascinating job and such a fascinating show. You just never know what you're going to find. What do you guys get up to relax to and unwind away from work? And where do we live? Well, we live in a place called Yucaipa, California, and it's about 60 miles east of LA and about 40 miles north of Palm Springs. And you know, we like to ride our Harleys. We've got quads. We like to shoot. We like to drive. Laura and I have a more fun probably driving around in our truck, just driving around and looking at stuff, and you know, working on our business and stuff. So, you know, we do a lot of barbecues here at the house, and you know, I got a little game room, and we enjoy the mountains. We actually have a couple of local cabins that are in the woods, and we really enjoy doing that. We're so busy we don't get a chance to do a lot of vacations, so we try to do things that are close to home that we can escape. And so Laura and I are very good at escaping, almost professional. Okay, what music bands do you listen to? I like the Foo Fighters. I like Led Zeppelin. I'm an old rocker, you know, from the 70s and 80s, so you know, I like that. But you know, I like some of the new stuff too. I like Eminem, Kanye West. You know, I like all kinds of music, but you know, I'm a rocker. That's what I like. What sports teams do you follow? You know, I'm a little bit of a football fan because I have a couple of cousins that play for the NFL. One of them actually, Paul McQuestion, just won the Super Bowl. Bully for him. He won it for the whole family. I told him he needs to, if he wants to sell the ring or whatever, give cousin Danny a call, but he hasn't done that yet. So yeah, probably the Seahawks. And I like the Lakers when I watch basketball. Okay, lastly, what current projects do you have, and do you have any message for your UK fans? We love our UK fans, and I'm really glad that you guys are getting to experience the Storage Wars as it goes through its evolution. And there are many things that you're going to enjoy as the seasons progress. And we're very easy to get a hold of on the internet. We do our Twitter with Auction Guy Dan, and lovely Laura is Pay the Lady Laura. And on our Facebook, subscribe and like to that. It's Dan and Laura Dotson, American Auctioneers. And if you want to go to our website at americanauctioneers.com, you can see all of our social links there, and you can see our extensive calendar of auctions, and we have a lot of information. We are currently putting together a live online dual process auction service for the self-storage industry, one that's inexpensive, that a lot of the self-storage auctioneers can use. We kind of have a movement going here in the U.S. where several online-only self-storage auction companies, their software, they've jumped on the bandwagon from all the interest in self-storage. And so they have put these online-only auctions out there, and they're really controversial because, in my opinion, they're not commercially reasonable, and they're really not fair to the people that lost the stuff. At least here in California, when you lose your stuff at auction, if it brings more money than what you owe, then you're entitled to get that money back. So if somebody's just really down on their luck, or somebody was in charge of their stuff and they didn't pay, and you have a live auction with a live preview, just like you see on the show, you go, we open the door, you look from the door, and that gives you a lot of insight to a lot of the clues that might be or might not be inside of a unit. And with the online auctions only, all you can do is look at a photograph, and photographs don't really tell the whole story. If there was a cat involved and that cat has urine on everything, you can't see that in a photo, but you certainly want to know about it because you're not going to be able to get as much for your goods. If you think there might be heavy, not heavy equipment, but manufacturing equipment or something in the back of a unit, you can smell solvents. If you think there might be tools back there, maybe it's a landscape company, you can smell gasoline. So, there's a lot of clues that you can get from the door if you're there live. So, anyway, our live online dual auction service, we are going to present it to everybody right here this year, and you can sign up for free. And even if you just want to see what it's about and you're in the UK, you should go ahead and take a look, because you never know, we might just go global. We've got opportunities in Canada and Latin America, and Laura and I have great aspirations and big dreams, and when we think of something, we just put it out in the universe, and we just ask God to send it to us, and if he thinks we need it, then we get it. I'm a Rolling Stones fan, too. Anyway, that's it. Thank you very much. Enjoy Storage Wars, and thanks for following us on Twitter and Facebook, and checking out our website, and following your favorite casts and your favorite bidders on Storage Wars. Thanks a lot.